draft picks in 2027, 2029. Doesn't matter what LeBron wants. Do not trade the draft picks. Now, I can disagree with that. LeBron is 38 years old. He's having a remarkable season. So LeBron's career is pretty easy to track and follow here. In his prime, he would go to a team like a Miami or back to Cleveland or the Lakers. He came here. He was at the very end of his prime. And you would give up your draft capital and get him to appease LeBron in his prime. Smart, veteran, experienced players for the playoffs. Young guys don't do generally great in the playoffs. And that worked. Then LeBron would leave you, and you were left with a mess. You had no draft capital. You built the team entirely around LeBron and his wishes. And without LeBron, you had kind of a weird, disjointed roster and no draft capital. So the Lakers got their championship from LeBron, but this is not, they're not Cleveland. This is not a desperate franchise. They're in Los Angeles. They have a huge brand, and their takeaway is, we got a lot of championships. We're not selling the farm. So as good as LeBron is in his prime, they're not even close to a championship team. They're not even in the top 10, in my opinion, to be a championship team. Maybe if AD was healthy, LeBron was healthy, Westbrook off the bench, maybe they're 10th. But they're not even close to Boston or Milwaukee. They're not close to Golden State. Smarts, depth, intelligent, youth. They're not close. So the Lakers' perspective, I may disagree with it, but the Lakers' perspective is, well, even with the great LeBron now, we're not a playoff team. So our present isn't very good. Why give away our future? Now, for those just joining us and that you've never listened to my show or you're the DC listeners, my takeaway was I got sympathy for neither camp. LeBron signed an extension to get more money. I have no sympathy for LeBron. You signed up for this mess. You knew it was a mess. And I have no sympathy for the Lakers because I said coming into the season, Anthony Davis is going to be great. The minute he's great, trade him. He'll get hurt. I said that. J-Mac is my witness. And they didn't. And now you're stuck with a guy with less trade value who's hurt again. At the trading deadline, what I would do, I'd keep LeBron. I'd move everything I could to get more shooters and more draft picks. I would bottom out for the rest of this year and then move as many pieces as you can, restock with shooters and some wing defenders. This team's going nowhere. Westbrook doesn't work long term. AD can't stay healthy. LeBron's the only thing I like. But I have no sympathy for either because, as I've talked about before, there's 3 stages to great basketball players. There's the show-off stage. LeBron's first 6-7 years. Didn't win a title, but he would chase people down, block stuff off the backboard. It's John Morant's in this stage, Anthony Edwards, the show-off stage. I want to show the world what I can do. Then you get tired of not winning games. Then you get to the championship stage where a lot of guys move and go and surround themselves to win championships because everybody's saying, the media's saying, fans are saying, yeah, well, you're not a winner. You're just a stat monster. The third stage, which at the end, Michael Jordan went to the Wizards for it, LeBron came to L.A., is the mogul stage. Is that what's good for business? Michael's like, I want to own an NBA team. He went to the Wizards, the awful Wizards. LeBron came to this franchise. The previous 5 years, the Lakers had the worst record in the league when he came here, tied with the Knicks. They were a mess. He didn't come here for basketball. He came here to get rich. I got no problems with LeBron. He got a bubble championship. He's worth $1 billion. I know guys in his camp. He's been happy. His family's happy. He didn't come here for basketball. There were a lot of great options. This wasn't one of them for basketball. The roster was a bunch of young guys. Nobody liked any of them except Kuzma, who's now crushing. They probably should have never moved him. So I just don't have any sympathy for anybody. It's like you all made your bed. LeBron wanted to get rich. He did. Lakers unrealistically thought with Westbrook and AD they could win a title. They can't. And you guys deserve this mess. Hey,
promise me we'll revisit this later because you're off on some things here. We're going to fix this later. I know we got a guest coming up, but there are some things you're missing on the Lakers. There is an opportunity here for them right now. I'll leave it at that.
All right. Sure, yeah. I've been hearing that for 9 years in this town. Greg Cosell, 43 years, NFL films. Nobody breaks it down like him. Okay, I will admit, I thought Daniel Jones was a reach. I thought he was a reach. I never saw the it. I thought he was a late first, second round guy. But for the first time in, 6-7 years, the Giants are a playoff team. You tell me, what does the film say? How much is Daniel Jones? How much is his great coach?
Well, first of all, I don't think that those two things necessarily should be separate. I think it's the coach's job to put together an offense, a pass game, and a scheme that maximizes the talent of the quarterback and maximizes the offense and the pass game. So very often we try to separate that. Now, let me ask you this, Colin, as I think about what stage I'm in my life after you just did the LeBron thing after 43 years here at Films, but how many quote unquote transcendent quarterbacks are there? They don't fall out of the sky.
Right.
There's not 50 Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen's, Burrows. There's not 50 of those guys.
Right.
So you need a quarterback that can execute your offense. And ideally, you want a coach that can put together a really good pass game that helps your quarterback with defined reads and defined throws. So the teams that don't have, and maybe it's true, maybe the teams that don't have that guy, of which there are not many, because everybody's reaching for that rainbow every year.
Right.
And more often they don't get the guy than they do get the guy. Are we then saying those teams never have a chance to win? What do you do? I mean, there's, like I said, you talk about this all the time. How many of those guys are there?
Well, Greg, what I always use is there's only 5 guys in this league that I would not pick up a phone as a GM. You call me, I'm not interested, I'm not talking. They're all in their prime. Mahomes, Allen, Burrow, Herbert, and now Trevor Lawrence, who I think I like more than you a little bit. I would not pick up the phone. I think running, athletic ability. Now, Stafford, Brady, Rodgers are great, but I would take the phone call. I would listen. They're out of their prime. So to your point, what you're saying is, Colin, you're unrealistic here. Not everybody. There's only 5 on the face of the earth. So Daniel's
right. So, I mean, based on the way you see it, there's only 5 guys. There's 27 other teams. So now, if you're Brian Daboll, obviously Jones. And by the way, a quick point about Jones. Let's talk about the football part. We don't need to interpret what Daniel Jones is at this point. Daboll is, in a sense, telling us because he's now asking him to throw the ball more. 2 weeks ago against Minnesota, he dropped back 45-plus times in a close game. So Brian Daboll is telling us he feels far more comfortable with Daniel Jones dropping back, throwing the football, by the way, to a very average core of receivers behind a revolving door offensive line. Now, does Brian Daboll want to start over again next year with a brand new quarterback in an offense that is difficult to pick up? Picking up offenses and understanding everything involved with offense and the relationship of defense to your offense, that's a time-consuming process, Colin. That doesn't happen in a week or two.
Yeah.
That doesn't happen in a year, quite frankly. So he's going to re-sign with the Giants, and he's a quality quarterback. Whether he can win a Super Bowl, those questions to me, I never know how to answer those when people say, well, can he win a Super Bowl? I think there's a lot of reasons teams win Super Bowls and don't win Super Bowls, but Daniel Jones has been a quality quarterback for the Giants as this year has progressed.
I looked at a stat, used it on the air not long ago, that if Dak throws the ball under 35 times, 35 or fewer, he mostly wins. If he throws over 35, he mostly loses. So I view him as sort of a complementary piece. He's very good with a strong running game and time to throw. I feel like this offense going into the trade deadline, it was just a something short. They brought in T.Y. Hilton. What do you make of that? What do you make of that?
Well, first of all, I made a comment somewhere else a number of weeks ago about the Cowboys not having a whole lot at the skill position players, and I was speaking wide receiver predominantly. And on social media, people acted like I didn't know the first thing about football. Well, the bottom line is they told you that. They brought in T.Y. Hilton. Yeah. You think they would have brought in T.Y. Hilton if they were thrilled with their receiving core? So they told you that. I didn't have to make that up. I think Dak Prescott is and this is a cliche but true, is a very professional quarterback.
Yeah.
I think when you watch Dak Prescott, he's essentially at this point in his career a pocket quarterback. He knows where to go with the football. He knows how to run an offense. He knows how to work through progressions. I've always believed interceptions have to be looked at as an individual play, not just look at a number on a sheet of paper.
Right.
He's thrown a few bad ones. He's thrown some others that were not his fault. But you can line up and play with Dak Prescott. I think your point is valid. I think he's probably at the point in his career where he needs a fully dimensional offense. He needs a meaningful run game. He needs good weapons. Their O-line is solid now that they have Tyron Smith playing right tackle and Tyler Smith, the rookie, they kept at left tackle because he's improved as the year has gone on, and they didn't want to make that adjustment. So I think he can efficiently run your offense. And that's what he is. I don't think there's a mystery to what Dak Prescott is at this point in his career, Colin.
Yeah. So we have a new affiliate today in D.C., and I want to talk about Trevor Lawrence, who I was a huge fan of in high school and college. And you always said he's good. He's not quite as good, Colin, as that. He is playing his butt off.